Here we go. Oh my goodness, here we are. Welcome, everybody, to the big show. It's your buddy Bruce here, traveling with Bruce. Welcome to TWB for Monday, December the 18th, 2023. Oh my goodness. This is my last show for the year for Monday nights on this channel. I will be back on not next Monday, but the Monday after. I will be on the air New Year's Day. I will be on the air New Year's Day, 2 weeks from today. But next week, Christmas Day, I'm off. Just in case you're wondering what happened. Unless something crazy is going on, I'm off the air next Monday. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. Thank you for the thumbs ups that you've been giving us. Special shout out to all of you who gave us a thumbs up on last week's show. I just want to let you know we have 97 thumbs ups for last week's show. So if any of you happen to not give us a thumbs up because you forgot, or maybe after the show, you could go back into my channel, find last week's show, pop a thumbs up, and put us at 100. That would be great. 3 more is all we need, and we have 100 thumbs ups over there. But thank you all for the thumbs ups here, especially you rerunners who watch us after the show is aired. Nice to have you here Monday, December the 18th, 2023. Nice that you're with us. News from Jennifer with her hip. Just for those of you who are curious, my wife, my Jennifer Aniston lookalike wife, she went and saw her surgeon last Wednesday, and they have set a date for her operation. January the 16th is the day that Jennifer will go in for her second artificial hip. So she'll have her second one done. She's all excited. She's ready. And everything is looked after. It's all paid for. And we've got the first x-rays done. We have CAT scans booked. We have blood samples booked. Everything's getting booked now. Just boom, 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 boom. It's like a machine down here. It's amazing. Less than 30 days, well, roughly 32 days to book an operation of that caliber. In Canada, unthinkable to even discuss it. It's unbelievable. We are so grateful that Jen will be, we hope, after this operation is over and she recovers, she'll be pain-free for the first time in 15 years. When you think about it that way, you just go, what? Because she's always had that gnawing little ache, just that gnawing little ache. It's incredible. She still has not had any communication from any of the from the specialty doctor in Canada for her first hip that she had replaced a year ago. She hasn't been contacted by them to schedule an appointment to have her schedule for surgery for her first hip. It's been over a year and a half. It was a year and a half ago that she was put on the list to get contacted for her first hip. And she still hasn't had no communication of any kind. She's already had the new hip now. It'll be a year in 11 days. It'll be a year that she got the first one done. So isn't it amazing? It's an issue in Canada that is a huge political issue, to say the least. Medical care, and the Canada system is overwhelmed, unfortunately, because we baby boomers, we're this big blob of patients coming through, unfortunately. And what can I say? It is what it is. Thank you all for joining me. I popped a question up today that I would like to know if any of you would like to answer this question. I see now a couple of answers are coming in. What was the first cruise you ever took? When was your first cruise a cruise, or was your first cruise a transatlantic crossing? When the first time you were on an ocean-going vessel, can you remember the name of the ship you were on for the very first time, and what year was this? Do you remember where you went? Love to get that. My first cruise was on a ship known as the Homeric from Homelines. Actually, I have to admit, the first ship I remember is this ship, the Homeric, in 1962. I was 6 and a half, 7 years old, and we were traveling from Germany, West Germany at the time, to Canada. And I believe we left Hamburg. That's where I think we started the cruise. And we ended up in Montreal. And then I remember we transferred onto a train, a Canadian Pacific Railway train, to Toronto. And when we got off the train in Toronto, we were met at the airport by my father's uncle. And that was my father's mother's brother. And we stayed with them for about 2 weeks once we came over until we got our own place. But I remember that trip. I remember that ship. I do not remember the first ship I was on in 1959. I do not remember. I don't have any records that I'm aware of the name of the ship, the operating company, or anything else. That would require a ton of research, which I can't do today. But that was the one I remember. Homerick, 1962. Sharon is in the house, and she is the number 2 thumbs up. Robert is in the house, number 3. How you doing, Robert? Shady Hill Homestead, number 5 thumbs up. Bruce, Ms. M. Hi, Bruce and all. Number 10 from a rainy Haney. Ken Kareka is in the house. Merry Christmas, everybody. The temperature in Saginaw, Michigan is a windy 30 degrees right now. Gasoline is $2.95 a gallon. Janet and Ken, we're number 8. Thumbs ups for you. Thank you, Ken and Janet. Thank you. Best wishes to both of you. Ms. M, first cruise on Royal Caribbean Majesty of the Seas in 2000, but I was working on it as a youth staff member. And I was a teacher on leave to see the world. Now I am retired. Isn't that something? Stephen Butler, number 12, on the like button. Gas is cheap. The air is getting colder, he says. We are looking forward to our travel plans for 2024. Things are falling in place for the trips that we will be taking. Woohoo! Robert, well, I started my day with Uncle Bruce, and I'm ending my day with Uncle Bruce. All right on there, Robert. Celestine, Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you. Kirk Brunson, hi, Bruce and TWB family. Kirk from New York is here, and I'm at work right now. Welcome, my friend. RMS 492, Carnival Holiday 1998 was the first ship. 3-day to Ensenada from Los Angeles on the Carnival Holiday. How about that? Sharon, my first cruise, a cruise on the Oceanic Home Lines from New York City to Nassau with my parents, brother, and grandmother, roughly about 1970. Rocky Grasso, hi, Bruce, and TWB viewers. Gas is $2.87 here in Chesapeake, Virginia. The temperature is now 50 degrees, and I'm number 13 on the thumbs up. Thank you, Rocky, so much. Appreciate you, buddy. Sharon, second cruise, the Sea Venture from New York City to Bermuda. My first cruise to Bermuda. The Sea Venture was later sold to Princess and renamed the Pacific Princess. I was on the Love Boat before it was the Love Boat. How about that? Beautiful. Kirk Brunson, Norwegian Gem. 2018 was my first cruise from New York to Florida to the private island in Nassau and back to New York. 7 wonderful days. It was a great cruise. Kevin Chapman is in the house. The author is here. Happy holidays, Bruce. Best to Jen and her rehab. Thumbs up, number 25. Thank you, Kevin. All the best to you, of course, you and Sharon and your family. Thank you so much. Jacqueline, on a military trip, on a military ship from Guatemala to Washington, D.C. was the first one for me. Ken, in my single days, went on the NCL Skyward in the early 1980s on a 7-day Caribbean cruise out of Miami. Sharon, memory from the first cruise at customs immigration. After the cruise, my grandmother offered us oranges. The customs guy went nuts, but my father noticed the oranges had Sunkissed stamped on them. We were okay. Oh, those customs kids, they go crazy about overseas fruit. Oh, we can't bring that in. That's a national catastrophe waiting to happen. Yeah, well, it can be nasty if it's the wrong kind, I suppose. But nonetheless, welcome all to the show. The first cruise ship that Jennifer and I went on as a cruise was Holland America, the Oosterdam. We boarded that ship in San Diego. We had friends of ours that we went with, and we had a 7-day Mexican Riviera cruise to Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful, great 5-star cruise line. It was beautiful. Rocky. First cruise was in the Eastern Caribbean in 1994 on an older version of the Regal Princess. And Sylvia's in the house. Hello, Bruce, and everyone in the chat. Welcome, Sylvia. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you again for all of you hitting that thumbs up button for us. You are awesome. Appreciate it. If any of you are able to hit the thumbs up button from last week's show, we need 3 thumbs ups to hit 100 from last week's show. If any of you can get there, that would be great. Thank you all very much for being here today. We now have, I believe, the count on our thumbs ups button count is 28. We're already at a quarter of the way to 100, and we've only just started. Thank you all so very, very much for that. Let me know, what is the first cruise ship you were ever on? What was the name of that ship? What year are we talking about? Do you remember where you went? Let us know. We love to compare notes. All right. I have some news for you today on the cruise side of things. By the way, Sharon is saying first cruise with Kevin, Nordic Princess from New York City to Bermuda. I was 7 months pregnant with our oldest. They'd never let anyone cruise that pregnant these days. Not now, but yeah. Ken Correca. Janet in 1992 on the NCL Seaward on our honeymoon for 7 days out of Miami. How about that? 1992. Fantastic. News today. This is sort of the last time I'm going to be able to talk about this story, and thank God. It's all about the Panorama, the Carnival Panorama cruise ship. Oh my God, what an ordeal. Here's a picture of the ship, a promo shot. The ship had its whale put back on. The whale tail was reassembled on top of that ship in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And the ship, as of a couple of hours ago, here it was, that red triangle heading south, just off the coast of Eugene there. That ship is on her way now to Long Beach, California. So the Panorama is going to be back in business doing those 6 and 8 day cruises down the coast of Mexico. I think the first cruise is set for the 26th of December. The Boxing Day is the loading day. So I'm imagining right now the ship is it's not in a hurry to go to Long Beach. This is only the 18th. It's got 6 days to get there. But they're getting the ship all cleaned up, and the crew is, I'm sure, back on it. There'll be crew members waiting to get on that ship in Long Beach, I'm sure. And so the supplies are ready. They need the food, the booze, everything else you need for the ship will be loaded up when they get down there. So they're getting ready to go. So that's good news. Sure took a long time, didn't it? Since in November, basically. Other news today, we heard about this ship here, the MSC Meraviglia. This particular ship is, as we speak, I think it's in Boston. The ship was supposed to head out of New York to go south to, I think it was the Bahamas and other spots, but all that was canceled because the seas south of New York and off the coast are brutal. There are some rough seas going on right now. Here's an interior shot of the big lobby area of the ship. The ship has been completely diverted. It has a completely different itinerary. Now, here's the problem. The people that are on this ship are expecting, or were expecting, a tropical cruise to the Caribbean. What they're going to get is a trip to Boston, Portland, Maine, and St. John's in New Brunswick, going into Canada and back. They have to go to Canada because of the that Jones Act thing, so they've got to go there. So the folks on the Meraviglia are not going to be able to they can wear their shorts like you see in this photo here. They can wear shorts and short sleeve shirts, but you better stay inside the ship, because if you're going outside, baby, it's cold outside, unfortunately. So this has turned into a cold Canadian kind of cruise, unfortunately. Now, the Canadians will welcome you warmly when you get to St. John's, but unfortunately, you're not going skinny dipping up there. Not if unless you're crazy. Not going to happen. So I don't know. Will there be refunds offered and all this? Oh, what a mess. How many people were planning to be down south? The other thing I don't know, and you wonder about this sometimes, is it's not uncommon for groups to come on these ships for a 1 week cruise, and the cruise is a wedding cruise. What happens? Was there a wedding planned in the Caribbean for a bride and groom that are on this ship, on this cruise? They're not going to get to their wedding location. Everything they set up is, shot to hell. I don't know. I wonder if that's going on too. Oh boy, what a way to start the marriage. I don't know. Okay, other news that I came across today had to do with the Royal Caribbean. Apparently, these guys right here, Ben and Jerry's, on Royal Caribbean ships will be no more. They are going to eliminate the Ben and Jerry locations on Royal Caribbean ships. Now, is this a mutual parting of the ways? Is this, where Royal Caribbean is not getting enough of the action? Are the folks at Ben and Jerry's going, we have to supply the ice cream, the staff, and we got to pay a percentage of the gig here to the cruise. We don't make any money on these locations. We just don't make any money. And maybe the Royal Caribbean is sitting there going, again, this could be one of 10 answers as to why this is happening. One of the answers could be they're making so much money. It is so good that Royal Caribbean is thinking, we're not going to renew the lease for these guys. We're going to turn that ice cream parlor into a Royal Caribbean ice cream parlor. We'll give it some kind of generic name, and then we'll have all these flavors available. We'll have our own staff. We'll basically license an ice cream entity, but a no name, with our name on it. I don't know. Maybe it's too juicy, too much money being made by Ben and Jerry's, and Royal Caribbean is sniffing out the fact that, well, we could do this ourselves and keep all the profits for ourselves. I don't know. I don't know. For some, I'll put it to you this way. I doubt there will be any passengers canceling a cruise going forward because there isn't Ben and Jerry's ice cream on board the ship. So it was a nice thing to have. Now it's being rechanged into somebody else. I don't know. Now, when I read that story, I heard that story, and I thought, that's interesting, because if a cruise line is going this direction, they're changing a dessert offering, and of course, in this case, it is not part of the dining room. It's not part of the buffet. It's not part of a restaurant. This is a separate, standalone, location on that promenade walk that the Oasis class ships have. But that got me thinking about the fact that the way cruising used to be versus how cruising is now. And that brings me to my next topic, which I'll bring up in just a minute. Let me just double check something here. Robert is saying here, Robert Blend, Bruce, 62 in Boston today. First cruise, Norwegian Dawn to Bermuda. Last cruise last month on the NCL Bliss to the Mexican Riviera. Tom Henry, hello everybody from Tom Sylvia. First cruise out of New York City going to Bermuda in 1990. It was the original Celebrity, but I can't remember the ship name. It was a rough ride, I guess, no stabilizers back then, and we went through a hell of a storm. Sharon, I can understand the American situation. The rain and wind up and down the East Coast today was insane. It's bad. They do not want to go down there. Alan Carter, Bruce, 34th thumbs up for you. Sharon, maybe the captain can do weddings at sea. Maravilla. Tom Henry, Sylvia, you've been cruising 22 years before I started. My goodness, my daughter and I are leaving on Sunday for a Christmas cruise on the NCL Encore for 7 days. Congratulations, Sylvia. Stephen Butler, I would be okay with the change on MSC Cruise. The Northeast U.S. Canada, it's beautiful. Bring a sweater, a toque, and a jacket. I would not be upset. The question is, how many people are there already and don't have winter clothing? I don't know. Sylvia, Tom Henry, that was my first and last cruise for almost 20 years. That cruise scared me. It was way too rough for me. Laugh alone. I like a smooth ride. Sharon, I'd feel bad about Ben and Jerry's, but in all of our Royal Caribbean cruises, we've never bought any. Just don't touch my Starbucks kiosks. So don't mess with those guys. Susan is here. Susan, our happy holidays to everybody. Number 35, best to Jennifer. First cruise, 1990, Song of Norway, Royal Caribbean. Had the room over the anchor. So thrilling. Sailed to South Caribbean. Sharon, Sylvia, back in the day, the stabilizers were indeed much worse, and the Cape Hatteras zone was almost always very rocky. Sylvia, Tom Henry, did you get home okay? It was bad yesterday. It was raining. It was a rough flight, he said. We had a rough flight getting home yesterday. So I'm so glad we're here at Palm Desert. It is calm as can be. Low 70s lately. We're fine. Okay. Cruise lines used to be all about one thing. When you used to go on a cruise back in the, if you went on an ocean liner to cross the Atlantic, or you went on a winter cruise in the late 50s and the 60s, it was really about one main thing: the food, baby. The food. It was all about this incredible dining experience you were going to get on most of these ocean liners. Tom Henry says JetBlue schedules its flights too close, so our plane arriving from JFK was late. Then we were about an hour late departing Orlando, making the next flight late from Richmond back to MCO. It's just one after the other. Back in the day, cruise lines back in the 20s and the 30s and before, there were classes of passengers, and certainly in the after the war, 1946 and beyond, and through the 50s, there were first class passengers and tourist class passengers for sure. There might have been a few third class, but that was really being eliminated. Cruise lines went to two classes: the top end and then everybody else. And even if you were in tourist class, the food was fantastic because they wanted you to be a happy cruiser, they wanted you to be a happy passenger, and they wanted you to tell your friends that if you ever cross the Atlantic or you ever go on a cruise line, this is the one because the food is the best. And so I went scouring today and I found some good old photos I thought I'd show you. Can you imagine going into your main dining room today and seeing a scene like this? Could you imagine? Look at the gentleman carving the meat. He's carving, I think, prime rib over there for the guests. And look at the age of that individual. Look at the age of that man. Look at how do I say this politically correctly? Look at the ethnicity of that individual. Look at the other servers in the background. There's the one fellow there on the upper left, and then the fellow on the middle of the top picture there. And look at the passengers. Look at the clothing that is being worn by the passengers on board this ship. Suits, ties, tuxedos. The women in elegant clothing. Now, let's get real. This photo is a publicity shot. This is not a real cruise experience. These are actors. Okay, let's get with it. These truly are actors, but nonetheless, look at the service. This would be the 50s and the 60s. You can tell by the portholes. Look at the portholes behind in the background. There are no windows there. Here we go. This would have been probably the 80s or 90s. The last of the good old days. Here's a shot here. I'm going to guess that you are looking, and I suspect you are possibly looking at actors. Again, this could be a publicity shot type photo. But the carvers, that's what always gets me. These gentlemen with the knives and those big forks, and they're carving the giant roast beef right at the table side for your prime rib or whatever. But look at the tuxedos by the men and the gowns for the women. But this would be 50s. This would definitely be 50s. Here's a shot that is definitely not a publicity shot. This is not a shot for advertising purposes because you got guys holding cigarettes. So that is definitely a black and white from someone's collection. Here's another shot here. This is likely this could likely be another publicity shot. You've got the gentleman and the woman there in perfect pose. They probably took a series of photos of these two, but it gets me. What gets me is that the carver, the chef with the white hat, give me a break. The chef with the white hat is carving the I don't know what that is. Is that tenderloin or whatever that is. And the older captain of the section there and the young waiter, oh, they're all dolled up. But look at that! Look at that style. Here's a nice shot. Again, this could be publicity. This might not be, but these were the days, kids. These were the good old days when Happy Days was based on. The well-to-do were going on these transatlantic cruises, all dolled up. Here is an advertisement that you would have seen in maybe Look magazine, Life magazine, maybe. The Italian line, they were in operation in the 50s and 60s. And here you are, dancing in the background there on the right-hand side. There's dancing. Look at the dresses those women are wearing. The men all dolled up in tuxedos. And here's the champagne flowing here with live music, a live orchestra every night. Here you go, under the stars at night on the Matson line. There's a line that doesn't exist anymore either. The Matson line, where you are enjoying the sea views in the evening. And you've had a wonderful dinner and you're going for a lovely stroll outside for some fresh air and talking about your hopes, dreams, and aspirations going forward under the moon, seeing the moon like you've never seen it before because you're in the middle of the ocean. There's no light. It's dark all around you. And so the moon is the star of the show. How about that? Here we go. Tomorrow, Naples. There you go. You've had a wonderful evening. You're in your suite with your multiple porthole windows over there, and you're dreaming about the fact that you're in the Mediterranean right now, and tomorrow you land in Naples, Italy. A dream come true vacation. Wow. Talk about the Italian line. Oh my, how lovely. Here we go. You're doing so well financially in the 50s that you can afford to have with you. You can afford to hire this individual to help with your hair and help with your wardrobe. And then look at the gentleman in the background. You see the gentleman way back there? He's bringing the flowers, bouquet of flowers is being brought. And in the background there on the upper right-hand corner is the porthole. Those, we're talking about a luxurious suite here. And look at the window. These are ocean view rooms, top of the line way back when. Here is a privilege to meet the captain of the cruise ship as he comes out on the deck during the sunny day and visiting the various passengers. I mean, it's a big deal. You got to take a picture of that. Someone in the background is doing. Glad to have you aboard the Matson line. How about that? Oh, luxury. Here we go. The Matson line, the line going to Hawaii. Going to Hawaii in the 50s and the 60s. And to show you how modern this ship is, how state of the art this ship is, you got to pay attention to the photo here. You see the gentleman here holding the tray of drinks, okay? And then you see the woman with the red dress with her hands on her hips. But go to the other side. You see the woman with the blue dress standing up. Well, look what she's doing. She's on a telephone. A telephone, for crying out loud. Oh, my goodness. I don't know how that worked. I don't know. I don't believe you could have made a ship-to-shore telephone call. I don't believe at the time that this was put up that you could do that. I suspect that this would have been the late 50s, and maybe this individual's calling somebody else in another room, maybe, but I don't think it was ship to shore. Here we go. Look at the service being brought to you on your deck chairs, and look at how casually they're dressed. This is Hawaii. This is a cruise to Hawaii. Look at that couple completely relaxed in long pants and long sleeve shirts and She's got a luau around her neck. So, I mean, that is Hawaii. But thrilled to remember always look at that pineapple fancy drink that the server is bringing along there. Nice, nice. The Matson line. Here we go. It's all about the food, baby, and the service. Look at that. A tuxedo dressed waiter pouring champagne or pouring wine, I suppose. I think this is a 1969-70 photo. This would be, on the deck somewhere at port, I suppose. Here we have another ship type photo. The dining salon with the women in phenomenally long and expensive dresses, the men all dolled up in tuxedos. And look at the wait staff, all top of the line staff to take good care of you. That's a publicity shot, of course. Here we go. This is kind of today. This is sort of a, if you're going to maybe a high-end steakhouse, you might see folks dressed like this today. No ties. The women are in dresses, but certainly not those evening gowns from way back when. But to show you how things have really changed now versus then, here's a shot for you. Does this look familiar to you at all when you go on a cruise? Here you have kind of a buffet scenario here, and look at the folks wearing shorts and tennis shoes or sneakers, as we would say, sneakers, t-shirts maybe, flip-flops for shoes. We've kind of downgraded it, haven't we? Have we gone casual? I think that's maybe the way to say this politely is we've gone casual. And look at this here, the lineup and loading up on those buffet meals, and we are casual. We're not all glammed up here, that's for sure. No way. Yeah, things have kind of changed. A lot more relaxed. And another thing that you might notice in these photos are the fact that the food choices we seem to be making these days has affected us in some way, in that we're not as what's the word I'm looking for? Svelte as we once looked on board cruise ship. I mean, look at this right here. I mean, we're not as svelte as we once were, are we? And we're letting it go. We're enjoying. Here's a publicity shot without any doubt whatsoever. Living the high life on a probably a 6-star cruise line. Note the waistlines of these models compared to some real life shots. Why is it like that now? Well, here's a culprit right here. Look at the food selections that you get on board cruise ships nowadays. I know some of you have noticed it. We love food on cruise ships. I mean, who's kidding who? We love eating our favorites. We've worked our butts off for a 1-week vacay. Why not enjoy ourselves? But boy, you eat a few of these every day, and boy, you're packing it on, aren't you? You are packing on. And what about this kind of dessert? Is this inspirational? This is industrial size baking right here, where we're talking about sheets of cake that come out of these ovens, and these sheets have to be cut. They're all identical. There's nothing unique about them, and they're just full of corn starch and sugars from corn and what have you. We're just gonna fatten these people up. Look at this right here. I mean, who doesn't love pizza? Come on. But did you want to go on a 1-week cruise to get away from it all, and you want to eat this food on your holiday? Or how about this? You want to eat this on your holiday on a cruise ship? You're on a cruise ship that cost $1 billion to build, and you got 7 days to enjoy the best of sea life. Are you going to eat a cheeseburger and fries when you could go into some of these restaurants and order a steak or some really nice food? But this is what's happening here. This is the difference between today and yesterday. We are now willing to treat ourselves to a cattle call kind of an event where we just hold our own plate and we just line up and we literally carry our own food. Gone are the days where we are served at every meal. We're mega casual. We're wearing baseball caps and, our sneakers, and we're just enjoying ourselves. We've come down to just one meal a day. That's a sit down meal, and even then, it's maybe not. It's just a buffet. Yeah, this is sort of a modern take on what it used to be like. Today, you see the two gentlemen sitting down, no tie, just jackets, no ties. And the gals are beautifully dressed for today's standards. They look like $1,000,000. But these four people are actors. The waiter might be the real guy, but the four people sitting there are paid actors, and they're not necessarily actual cruise ship passengers. So, gotta keep that in mind, folks. The reality is more like this, I think, and definitely much more like this now. This is cruise ship, dining. And so, for those of you who have not been on a cruise before, or it's been a long time since you've been on a cruise, we got to kind of remind you that gone are the days where you would have seen folks like this in the lounges. You would have met people or seen people in the dining room that dressed like this. Even this shot. This is a real shot. I mean, guys in tuxedos, women in beautiful gowns. These days are long gone. And the thing that kills me is as old as I am, I look at a shot like that and I think to myself, that could be 1955, the year I was born. This is 68 years ago. 68 years ago, these were the well-to-do, or at least they represented the well-to-do from way back when. And this is an interesting shot to me because what you're looking at are grandma and grandpa on the left, and maybe one of the aunts, and then mom and dad on the right, and he's handing her a cigarette at the dinner table. Are you kidding me? And then these two kids that are all dolled up with the gentleman carving the food. Yeah, 60, 70 years ago, people. This was the absolute ultimate success story. This was the American dream to the top end. We're talking the top 10% of America way back when. That's how good it could have been. Isn't that something? But yeah, things have changed, and time goes on, and we move forward. And so, this is okay. This is wonderful. Wonderful shot of a modern day cruise setting. It could well be actors here, but still, this is not all that much of a stretch. But I have to say, if you go on a cruise today, especially a 1-week Caribbean cruise, get ready for this. Get ready for this. Depending on the cruise line, of course. Look at that camera the guy's holding here on the left. that camera's plugged into a electrical outlet, by the way. It's not even portable. It's plugged in. So this has got to be 30 years old, this shot too, obviously. But yeah, check these out. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Is this uninspiring or what? Like, whoa. Yuck. I'm not impressed with that. That, Monday afternoon for lunch at the office. No, that looks pretty good. But on a 5-star cruise line, I don't think so. And, is it any wonder why we are a little, some of us are a tad, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it hefty? These guys didn't help. We'd finish the meal and then we'd end up with this place, and we'd drop $5 or $6, $8 and pick up an 800 calorie or 500 calorie something. It's not good for us. In any event, cruising is cruising, and a holiday is a holiday, damn it. And if you've earned it, you've earned it, and that's okay. I say way to go. I will just say this, though, that For the cruise lines, if they can convince you through this display of food for you to take a cheeseburger and fries rather than a filet mignon and fresh vegetables, they win because they have just spent a whole lot less money on you to have you eat this common food. If they can get you to buy pizza or just eat the pizza for free at the pool deck, they can get you to eat that. If they can get you to eat mass-produced cinnamon rolls that are piled high on these platters, they can get you to go there. They save dramatically on their costs and they maximize their profits because at the end of the day, meals are usually included. It used to be way back when that meals were absolutely completely included and they were of a 5-star quality. But those carving station guys, you might see a carver at a buffet, slicing a piece of ham off for you. But yeah, that's I don't know. BW is here. I'm 18 minutes behind, but I'm catching up at double speed. Sylvia, it's really windy here in Greensboro right now. Hoity-toity clothing, too stiff for me, she says, Sharon. And those guys were working for tips, which were much more individualized back in the day. You are right. Back in the day, you went to a dining experience like I showed you with the carvers and those waiters and the captain, those chefs with the chef hats. You tipped them personally at the end of your cruise with a brown envelope. You tipped your server, your room attendant, not a general pool for everybody. That's how it was done. Sharon, nobody in that kind of pretty fuchsia gown would be sitting on the stairs. Sylvia, Sharon, Laval, you got that right. Sharon, I remember people throwing streamers into the water when sailing away, like in that top photo, even in the late 80s. Stephen Butler, that was the lure line to Hawaii. My wife's family sailed on the lure line when she was a kid to Hawaii. It was en route to Japan. They flew to Japan from Hawaii. Her father flew off aircraft carriers. Isn't that something? Sharon, I was reading about an overblown controversy wearing PJs to breakfast in the main dining room Christmas mornings. Some people love the idea. Others are absolutely offended. Sharon, I don't believe in pajamas anywhere in public places, not unless it's a pajama party. Sylvia, when I was in a group cruise and we went from bar to bar on the ship in our pajamas, I kind of felt funny, laughing out loud. Sharon, there's nothing wrong with a cheeseburger in paradise, though. There you go. I wouldn't wear pajamas in public generally, but I'd give a pass to those doing it as part of a Christmas morning celebration. Sylvia, my mother-in-law doesn't believe in holding her own plate. She likes to be served. There you go. Sylvia, that's Bruce and his sister when they were crossing Atlantic. Stephen, some of the glamour is gone from cruising and air travel, no question about it. A bit more accessible to the masses. Still fun. Still amazing that you can fly over a country or oceans at 30,000 feet. I agree with that. I do. I remember when I was young. I remember until I was about, I'm going to say until I was about 15 years old. Yeah, right up until 1971. I remember Christmas Eve. We would have Christmas Eve at home. And being a German family, we would open our presents on Christmas Eve. We wouldn't have to wait till Christmas Day. And I recall that at about 4 in the afternoon, of course, the sun would set at 4:30, would get dark, right? Well, 4 or 5 in the afternoon, roughly. My father had his music store. It would close at 5 o'clock, and then he'd be home at 5:15, 5:20. It's only 20 minutes to the house. He would change, and he would come out, and he would have on if I recall, he would have on a suit and tie, and my mother would have on a wonderful dress, and I had to have on a suit and tie, and my sisters had to be all dolled up for Christmas Eve dinner for the family. And we had a relative living with us at the time. He was in a suit and tie. And we would eat dinner. And we couldn't open the presents until after the dishes were done. but mother would not have to do the dishes. No, mom would not be allowed in the kitchen. She made dinner. Now she stayed out. My dad made sure she stayed in the living room in her best outfit, and he made sure she had a nice cocktail and she was well after. He, my father, would take off his jacket, take off his tie, roll up his sleeves, and I would do the same. And he and I, and maybe my uncle, we would do the dishes together in the kitchen. And the girls would clean up the main table, the dining table, clean it all up and get it all set, because we would put out Christmas Eve candies, chocolates, and all kinds of other treats to eat. That would all be done with my mother's direction. And then the gentleman would get the dishes done, and then we would put our ties back on and our jackets back on and into the living room. And now it would be time to open the presents for Christmas Eve. It was a formal affair, a very formal affair, until I was about 15. I recall that quite something. Those are the days. Glamour is gone. Yes, indeed. The glamour is definitely gone from that. But I have to agree. Being able to fly at 30,000 feet above the terrain, from continent to continent and country to country, is a treat in itself, without question. And of course, being able to fly from Calgary, Alberta to Palm Desert, California, and to go from 30-degree weather to 70-degree weather in 3 hours is a treat, to say the least. That does not escape me. Every day I am grateful that I am here, and I'm enjoying this region as I do. Thank you again, those of you who have been able to share some memories with me today, hitting the thumbs up button today. We have 42 now, 42 thumbs ups. We're working our way up to 50 already, halfway there. I thank you all so very, very much. Thank you for sharing some of your memories on these cruises. It is a new world, and I am amazed that I remember when I was about how old was I, Bruce? I would have been about 18 or 19 at the time, I think it was, and it was 1973, something like that. And I was reading a news article in our local paper, and it had to do with a brand new electrical power plant that was being built in Ontario, here in Canada, when we used to live near Toronto. And they were talking about that it would be open and it would be operating in 1980. And I thought, oh, wow, the future, 1980, 7 years from now. Oh, my God. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, it's 1973. How long has it been since the Second War of the World War ended in 1945? And I've said about 55, 65, 28 years. I thought, my God, 28 years ago, the Second World War ended, and all those GIs came back. And I was thinking that many of those GIs were in their 30th year, 28, 32, 22, 40. I thought, if you're 30 years old when the war ended in 1945, in 1973, you were now 58 years old. And I thought, my God, that's right. And it didn't occur to me to think about that until about, gosh, it would be about 15, 20 years ago, when there was this talk about the greatest generation that was passing us by, the parents of the boomers. And I thought, in 2000, it was 55 years since the war ended. And a typical 30-year-old was now 85 years old. I thought, my God, that's right. A boomer's parents were 85 in 2000. Today is 2023, 103 years old. How many are left? And I remember back in 2000, the statistic was that in America, just in the United States, 1,000 veterans were dying a day of old age. Every day, 1,000 veterans were leaving us from the Second World War. Makes sense. I mean, so many millions were involved, and it's just stunning to me. And so here we are now in 2023, and I reflect back as the end of the year is upon us. It's my last show of this year, and I think back about cruise life, the post-war world, the first 10 years after the war was over, from 1945, 46 until 55, 56. And I was born in 55. Those first 10 years, the world completely changed, of course, because the war was over. And majority of conflicts were done with, although there were still flare-ups. And obviously, there was Korea, obviously. But you think about how the world changed and how the lives of 25 to 35-year-olds changed for the next 10 years, so that they turned from 25 to 35 or 35 to 45. Children, careers, you name it. And there were those who had a tough time of it, those who had a okay time of it, they got through. And then there's some of those who did very, very well, economically did very well. And then you think about the next 10 years, from 1955 to 65, where the booming North America economy allowed people to begin to take holidays that they could never have dreamt for their parents back in the 30s and the 40s. Unthinkable. And then, of course, we're watching the world evolve around us, with man going into space in the 60s, going to the moon by 69. I mean, my goodness, the world has so evolved, hasn't it? Now, today, cruise ships go nowhere. They leave Miami, come back to Miami. They leave Fort Lauderdale, they come back to Fort Lauderdale. But they go for a nice little jaunt. And a lot of folks have a very good time on cruise ships. And why not? If it's an opportunity to get away with your significant other or your family, you take advantage of it. And hopefully long-lasting memories will come from something like that. And there you have it. That's those are just some of my random thoughts as I'm babbling up. Thank you all for your support of this YouTube channel and this old YouTuber. This is my last show on this channel until 2 weeks from today. I'll be back on the air Monday, New Year's Day, 2024. I'll be on. Next week is a day off because it's Christmas Day. And thank you all so much for those of you who are sponsor members of this channel and those of you who reach out to Jennifer and I. We love you. We thank you so much. We've had a lot of wonderful memories the last 6.5 years. 7 years coming up in August. It'll be 7 years in August that will have been on the air. Unbelievable. What an amazing run it's been. So enjoyed it. We hope, Jen and I, that after her hip operation and recovery, that we can look forward to traveling again, and cruising will be on our agenda. The question is where and when. I don't know, but when I know, you'll know. So we'll keep you posted. Thank you all so very much for everything. On my 1994 cruise, I ordered a Caesar salad, says Rocky. Later, the head waiter of our section main dining room asked why no anchovies. He brought me a platter the next night. I've definitely had anchovies. Sharon, take care, Bruce and everyone. Merry Christmas to all who celebrate, and a Happy New Year to everybody. Sylvia, Bruce, and Jen, have a very Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Ms. M, we'll see you all in 2024. Thank you all so much. Sylvia says, this time when my daughter and I go, I told her I want to avoid the buffet and just go to the main dining room. And why not, Sylvia? You paid for it. Why not indeed? Sylvia, Sharon is saying, did you ever see the movie The Menu? The cheeseburger is a plot point late in the movie. It's on Max, and Kevin and I love that film. I'll have to check it out. Thank you. See you all in 2024. Robert, Merry Christmas, Uncle. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you, and appreciate that you're here with us. All of you, the best of the season to all of you, and enjoy time with your family and friends. Give your loved ones an extra long hug this year. You never know when it's the last time. And I occasionally will get messages that viewers are leaving us because they're being called upstairs. And so make sure you get a hug in. Stephen Butler, thanks, Jen and Bruce, for the great shows throughout the year. Keep us charged up to travel. Debbie Manuel, happy holidays, everybody. All the best to you, my dear. Thank you so much, Debbie. Stephen, Robert, Ms. M, Sylvia, Sharon, Rocky, Stephen Butler, of course. Who else has been here tonight? A whole bunch of you guys. BW is here. Thanks, buddy. Tom Henry, as always, my friend. Thank you. Susan R. Thank you. Alan Carter from Calgary. Thanks, pal. Robert Blend, Ken Kareka, Saginaw. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And all of you throughout the year. Appreciate you. Those of you watching on the rerun, special shout out to all of you from Jen and I here in Palm Desert, California. Have a great holiday coming up, Christmas, whatever you love to celebrate. And we'll see you all here New Year's Day. Hopefully you've survived it. And you can join us New Year's Day. Thanks for the thumbs ups and support. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. All the best from Palm Desert, California. Bye for now.